Today, we're going to take a comprehensive look at one of the greatest planners of all time. Whether you're looking to try Passion Planner for the very first time or trying to decide on your new cover or which size you want to get, you've clicked on the right video. I'm going to give you a full walkthrough of the Passion Planner layout and some ideas on how to use it. We'll do a comprehensive look at all the different sizes they offer. First though, let's take a look at these beautiful new covers that they just launched. These give me such retro vibes, you guys. I absolutely love them. These are the new academic year planners from Passion Planner. All that means is that they go from July 2025 through the end of June 2026. So they cover the academic year instead of the calendar year. They rebrought this cover back from the calendar year. So this is actually my calendar year one that I had. And then these are two of their new covers with this academic year launch. I could be off, but I bet this is going to be one of their most popular covers of all times. This one is also absolutely adorable. Both of these really just bring back, like I said, the retro vibes, like the feeling of middle school to high school and all those like school supplies that were popular back in the day, like Lisa Frank and stuff like that. So this cover feels a little bit different than their other covers. It is called Food for Thought. How cute is that? And this is their artist cover. The fruit itself is really shiny and glossy, but then behind the cover where there's kind of like that graph grid, not as shiny, but it's not as matte as the feeling of these other covers, just to let you know. Every planner comes with a band that coordinates with the color of the cover. I absolutely love that. You get 2 ribbons with every planner. One matches the cover of the color and one is their Kickstarter color, and it barely passes my ribbon test, but it passes, you guys. You know, I have personally used Passion Planner many times in the past about 8 years. And one of those times was just last year for about a good 9 months. And I will share my planner at the end of this and a little bit about how I planned in it. I also pulled out the very first Passion Planner I ever used from back in 2017. And I'm going to pull that out at the end too and share that with you guys. So stick around for this. This is their medium size. I would say it's the most popular size. It's the size that I personally prefer using. It is 7 by 10 on the cover. So your pages are exactly a B5 size, but that just means the cover is a tiny bit bigger than a B5. I'm also going to share with you their undated planners so you can see the difference between the dated. But first, right off, let's just look at the size difference. This is a past year's large one because large is not a size that I pull out and use, but I like to have it for reference. This cover is an 8 by 11. And that is also a beautiful gold gilded cover. Here is how the medium looks next to it. So we have an 8 by 11 cover, we have a 7 by 10 cover, and then we have a 5 size, which is like 5.8 by 8.3, I think is A5 size. So that's a look at how the sizes stack up together. Before we do a full walkthrough, I just wanted to share with you so you could see how the page looks in each size. The lines are actually made bigger with every size. In the A5 size, I'm looking at it, it's about 0.3 centimeter lines. And I think these are like 0.4. Yes. And the large is 0.5 centimeter. So 0.5. So we're going from 0.3, 0.4 to 0.5 lines. I personally love the line spacing of the large for the way that I write, but I don't need nor want that big of a planner on my desk. It's quite big when it's opened up. While I prefer this line spacing of the large, I personally prefer the medium-sized planner to use, which means I just always dealt with the line size by basically not writing completely on the lines. You'll see in my planner, I'm a pretty functional planner. Some might call messy. I just call it functional. Now, your lines at the bottom are a little bit bigger than these lines. So for instance, in the medium, they're 0.5 lines down here. So I'm guessing each one's about a point higher than your timed lines because they have to fit in a certain number of lines up here from 6 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. and lines on every half hour. Some planners don't do that. Some planners, as they go down in size, they keep the same line spacing and just the number of your lines is reduced that you're given, but that is not the case with Passion Planner. So I wanted to make you aware of that. Now we're going to do our full walkthrough in the medium size. Before we jump into the food for thought though, I really didn't talk about this new cover. It's called Passion Projects in Lilac, and how beautiful and cute. It's like all these crafty things on here. And look, even the magnifying glass with Passion Planner in it. And on the back, they don't just repeat it. It's all new crafty things. And inside each one of your planners, your pocket also matches the color of your planner. It's material. It's on there really well. It's made very well. You also get stickers with every single weekly planner purchase. You get these 2 round stickers, Passion Planner and Imperfect Progress. And then you get, this is my favorite sheet out of all of these, a planning little sheet. It has very cute stickers on it. This one's cute too. This is kind of like a celebration sheet because it's kind of like I cooked dinner, meal prepped, watered the plants. Very cute. This is a bill paying sheet. Then you have a little icon sheet with groceries and money and books. And then you have some water drinking habit trackers. They are a gold foil though that are pretty slick. I think the only thing that would write on those is probably a Sharpie fine tip marker, but it is kind of fun that they throw some stickers in that pocket for you. Now let's do our full walkthrough. Since my last Passion Planner video, Passion Planner has actually added a few changes to the front kind of goal setting pages. And I just have to say, once again, this cover, I feel like it's going to sell out. And I do not want to forget to mention that I have a 10% off code with Passion Planner always. You can use it over and over again. Do not forget to enter that code every time you're making a Passion Planner purchase. I also have an affiliate link down there. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for clicking through my affiliate links when you make a purchase. If my videos help you, if they're entertaining, this is the best way you can support my channel and help keep it going without spending any money or doing anything extra. So thank you so much. When you first open Passion Planner, you have your nameplate page and you do have a plain white page up here. You could sticker up or decorate because it's just plain paper. So you could write or draw on it if you're artistic. Then you have a welcome letter, welcome to the Pash Fam, from Angelia Angel, who is the owner, CEO of Passion Planner. I just love her story of how Passion Planner got started. This is a how to use your Passion Planner. I do recommend you read through this if you're new to Passion Planner, not because I think you have to use the planner in the exact way that they developed it to be used, because I always say use planners how they serve you best. But I think it can give you ideas and you can say, oh yeah, I do want to use that part this way, or that might not work for me, but it triggers another idea for you and something that you want to put in your planner or use in a certain way. So I think it is good to read through that if it's your first time. This is their little goal planning section at the front. I love it because it's not a super deep dive into goal planning. So if you just need a little bit of goal planning in your planner, a little bit of checking in and habit tracking, this is perfect for you. There's some instructions and then how to come up with your 3 core values. Then your passion roadmap. You guys, every time I fill this out, I always think I am not going to come up with anything different in here than I'm already thinking in my mind right now. But this little process always seems to bring something up that's like new. So I would say if you're up for it, definitely do the passion roadmap. But if you want to skip this whole section at the beginning, Passion Planner is just a great weekly planner. You definitely don't have to use any of this in the beginning. You have a vibrant vision board, 2-page spread here with instructions and guidance. This is also new. You have monthly habit trackers on here. In a 2-page spread, you can basically see your entire year. So you can track up to 5 habits a month, or is that 6? 6 habits a month. And within a 2-page spread, see your entire year. If you tracked some of those same habits and you put them in the same order and you say use the same color to track them, then you could easily look over your whole year and see how that one habit was doing over the course of a whole year. Because I feel like when we're looking at our habits only on a weekly habit tracker or even only on a monthly habit tracker, it's pretty myopic. It's a very zoomed in view. And if that's a habit that we want to keep up the entire year, then it really doesn't give us a good scope on how we're doing on a whole basis. And it also can give us a look into, oh, well, that month was really hard for me on that habit, but I did so much better on it in this other month. The reason why I talk about that is because I'm actually a huge fan of yearly habit trackers. I have these in my printable shop linked down below. I have dated ones, I have undated ones, I have Monday start and Sunday start. You get them all in the same file, but mine are drops in a bucket and I track one habit per sheet. and I track 3 habits on a yearly basis right now. If you want to know all about that and which habits I track and why I do this and what mine look like, I have that all in my goal planning video where I talk about how I do all my goal planning in one notebook that's going to last me like 10 to 15 years. So I can always look back on the previous years as I'm going ahead with my goals and projects. So if you're interested in my personal goal planning and why I love yearly habit trackers, you can go check out that video linked down below. But I had to mention that when they added in these monthly habit trackers, because I do think having them all together is very valuable, like I said, because if you do it the right way, you can see how that one habit looks for the entire year. Then this is kind of a new setup for them too. It's academic year, so you get a look at 25 and 26, but they're breaking you up by quarters, and you can go in and fill in quarter 1 goals, quarter 2 goals, quarter 3 goals, and have a really nice visual of maybe the big goals or projects that you're working on. Then you go into your monthly spreads. In the Dated Passion Planner, your monthly spreads are right before your weekly, so it flows monthly, then all your weeks, then the next month. Passion Planner also does something pretty unique on their monthly spreads. For the months that you need 6 weeks, and I'll go through and I'll find one, they actually bump up your days, so you get a little bit smaller boxes. They're not too small, and they add a 6th week down in here, and that way you never have split monthly days. I know people who really depend on their monthly layout appreciate that a lot. March is one of those months in 2026. So as you can see, they've added a 6th week on here. And so you do have a lot of days coming in and a lot of days going out, and they always darken those to a dark gray, but you do not have those last days of the month split because of that. And if you look here, it looks like you have the exact same amount of room at the bottom, but your monthly boxes are just reduced in size. So here is your reduced size monthly boxes, and here are your full size when you only have 5 weeks. But I know that's something that people appreciate. On your monthly layout, you have a lot of places to fill in. You have a this month's focus, personal and work, people to see, places to go, things to learn. Of course, you could use labels and relabel those boxes. Down here, you have personal projects and work projects, and those are broken up by top priority projects and then just projects. And you have due dates listed here on the side. So those little teeny boxes there are supposed to be where you're listing your due dates. You have holidays at the bottom in just their light gray. All their print is in, well, I guess I would say a more dark charcoal gray or a black is all the print in the Passion Planner. I just threw that little sticker in there. Okay, so let's take a look at their weekly layout because this is the most important part of your planner, in my opinion. They label it week 27. You have June 30th through July 6th. You have a today's focus box at the top of every day. I used to just write in if there was any appointment or out of the house things up there. I actually didn't use the time slots most of the time in my Passion Planner. I did sometimes, but the majority of the time I didn't, because I would only have, ever one appointment a day or one thing out of the house generally in a day. And so I could just put it in that focus box, but it's also a good place for the weather. I'll show you how I did my planning because I left about this first 5 or so lines for anything big or important for the day that was an appointment or had to get done. And then everything else was my to-do list just flowing from there. So most of the times I ignored the times. But for people who need time blocking, especially to the half hour, I always recommend Passion Planner. I think it is one of the best planners for that because you can time block out, you can color code. I think it is one of the best planners for high school or college students because they can really map out their time and see where it's going. Like they can map out when they're in school, and then they actually see how much time do I have to study between all their other activities. And they have plenty of room down here to write down their to-do list. You have a personal to-do list and a work to-do list. And each one of these little sections has 4 slots, and it's labeled by top priority, priority, and errands. I actually ignored that myself because I didn't always work it out that way. And I generally put washi tape over those black lines, but that's just me and personal preference. These little boxes, most people think that they're to check off your to-do list, but let me let you in on a little secret that I didn't actually know for a couple years. Those little boxes are to put in how much time you think each one of those tasks is going to take you. So if you think it's going to take you 15 minutes, you write 15 minutes in the block, or 30 minutes, or 1 for 1 hour. So you're guesstimating so that you can actually look and see how much time those tasks are going to take up from you. So I always used them as just to check off boxes, but I think using them as the time slots is also very a great, valuable way to track your time and get an idea of how many tasks you can fit in where. You have a this week's focus box and you have a good things that happened box. I actually always loved that good things that happened box. I don't generally, for me personally, love boxes all labeled in my planners because I like to use things the way I want to use them, and I want it to be flexible where I can change it up even every week or every month or season. But I actually think I'm going to add that to my personal planning page right now because I just like good things that happened. You only need a tiny space and you can scribble down the things as they happen throughout the week, and it's a fun thing to look back on, a positive thing. It's kind of like a gratitude box. But you also have a big space down here you could do anything you want with. It's called the space of infinite possibility. You could put in habit trackers down here. Lots of companies sell sticky note habit trackers. I sell weekly habit trackers in my shop too. And Passion Planner offers free weekly habit tracker printouts. Whatever aesthetic you like and whichever habit trackers work for you, or you could draw your own boxes down here. Or this is a great place for artwork if you're an artist, or a quote or a motivation for the week, or stickers, or just extra room for notes. I always loved this open for just extra notes where I wasn't squeezed in lines and little boxes and I could make notes or lists, or I'm on the phone with the doctor and I need to jot something down. That's a perfect space for that. You also have a quote every week in Passion Planner, and then you have a challenge to go with that quote. Unfortunately, my challenge would usually get covered up a little bit by washi tape, which also with like my 10 to 10:30 time hour slot. I'll show you my planner. But there are so many ways you can use this planner, as with any planner. So leave your mind open and you might think of a different way to use things or decorate that works better for you. They have a holiday down there in the bottom of today's focus box. So that box is a little bit taken up by a holiday when there's holidays. Here's an idea of what their quotes and challenges are. My happiness is not an accident. I practiced it. Then keep track of every moment that brought you delight using the good things that happen section. And at the end of the week, reflect on how these moments can become regular, happy accidents. And that is the flow of your Passion Planner. You are just going to go through all your weeks and then you get straight to your next month. But before your next monthly layout, you have their 2-page monthly reflection. At the end of every single month, you have 4, 5, 6, 7 question slots. They are the same questions every single month and plenty of room to fill in on those reflection questions. And then you have an end of the month checklist. It says highlight your accomplishments, reform, that's about your month's game changer goal from your roadmap, and then set checkpoints. Of course, you can use this or you don't have to use this. I've probably only used these about 5% of the time that I've been in Passion Planner and used it for planning because I do journaling in other places in my life and it wasn't my thing to answer these same questions every single month. But I know people who find this very valuable. And so once again, it's something that you can use or don't use depending on what you need in your life at the time. And that could even change throughout the year in 1 year. Then you go into your monthly layout and then you go back into your weeks. You have an end of the year reflection, a 2-page spread with some different reflection questions. So it just flows right at the end of the year. You have your last monthly reflection and then you go into your end of the year reflection. Then you have a good chunk of dot grid pages and then a good chunk of blank pages. And then you do have a measuring centimeters and inches back there. So that is the flow of Passion Planner. If you look here, because most book-bound planners don't come with tabs, because if you do tabs, they have to be stair-step tabs. I personally don't love stair-step tabs, so I'm glad they don't do that. Also, I'm not even sure how that would work on a softbound book planner, but they do put in these little markings every single month so that you can easily find your months. They also make tabs. Passion Planner tabs are great. I ordered some in this order, rose gold and the holographic ones. These are the holographic ones, and I used them on my Passion Planner that I used last year. Sometimes I use them when I'm using Passion Planner, sometimes I don't, but they work perfectly and they held up even while sticking off your planner. I did bring this planner only on one trip and it just went in a backpack and came out when I was there. But this was my planner for 9 months last year. And you can tell, sure, the picture on it got a little bit of wear and tear, but I don't mind that at all. The Passion Planner cover holds up really well. And this is actually probably my favorite Passion Planner cover that they have ever made of all time. I hesitate to even show it because they don't have it available anymore. And I know so many of you guys are going to say, I love that cover too. This artist cover was absolutely fantastic. And doing artist covers, I think it's such a smart thing for them to do because look what you come up with. It's stunning. So we'll talk about my planning when we get a little bit more near to the end, but this was definitely a well-used planner. I just wanted to show you that tabs are an option and you might want to pick some up if you're picking up a passion planner. They also work great in any other planner. I've used these in my Golden Coil several years in a row, and they work great in that too. Speaking of that being my favorite cover though, this might be my second favorite cover of all times. I don't know why, because it seems like a pretty juvenile cover, but it is such a happy, joyful cover. I actually had a couple of friends reach out to me and say, did you see that new Passion Planner cover with the fruit on it? And saying, I'm not even going to use Passion Planner this year, but I feel like I just have to buy one to have that cover. Even though I never even see my covers when my planner's open. I really don't, because I use my planner open on my desk like the entire time. Every once in a while, I'll pick it up and move it to another room, or I go on a trip once a year, but that is very rare. So I don't even get to see my covers. And yet this cover brings me so much joy. Maybe I'll have to set it up somewhere in my office so I can see it all year. It just brings back junior high and high school feelings. And I think, although some of us may have had trauma during those times, but those are very carefree, happy feelings for me for the most part. I think it brings back the late 80s or early 90s vibe, right? We will move on. But let me know truthfully what you think about this cover. It definitely is not going to be everybody's favorite thing. I'd love to know what you think about all their new cover designs and which one is your favorite. Share it down in the comments. I'd also love to know what you think of Passion Planner, whether you've used it or you haven't used it before. Share all your thoughts and comments so we can all chat about it. I really always love to know what you guys are thinking about a planner. I also picked up these two Undated in my orders. I usually don't order A5s anymore because I only really use the medium weekly, but this cover, I really liked it, and they only had it in the A5 left and Undated. So I figured I would pick it up because who knows? I might pull out an A5 Undated for something. One year I actually did memory keeping for an entire year in an A5 Undated. I looked in a couple places in my office. I couldn't locate it before I filmed this video. If I find it, I will share it on Instagram because it was a pretty fun memory keeper and it turned out good. So there are amazing things you can do with Passion Planner besides planning. Let's go through really quickly how an Undated is different from a dated. You will also see Passion Planner lace completely flat. So this one has not even been opened yet, not even once. And look, in the very beginning, I've used Passion Planner so many times. I've never had an issue with them staying open. Wherever you turn it, wherever you massage it, it will stay completely open. Okay, here is your Undated. Up front, you have all your Undated months. Since it's Undated, they're all up front. They also all have 6 rows. And after every single monthly layout, you have your monthly reflection 2-page spread. In the middle, you have your mid-year passion roadmap. I forgot to mention this in your dated. You do get a mid-year passion roadmap to reevaluate where you are, to redo your passion roadmap in the middle of the year. But there are no other extra mid-year planning pages. It's just a mid-year passion roadmap, and then you just go right into your next month. In the Undated, your mid-year passion roadmap comes in the middle, so it's just 6 months in, and then you finish out your 6 months with your monthly reflections in between. So you're not flipping just from month to month, you're having to flip through the monthly reflections too. Then you have an end of the year reflection. Instead of at the end of your planner, it's at the end of your monthlies here, and then you go into all your Undated weeks. So all those monthlies, all those reflections are up front, then it's all your Undated weeks until the notes pages with nothing breaking them up. You fill in the dates, you fill in the week of, and everything else is exactly the same. I didn't mention this, Passion Planner does gray out their 12 o'clock hour, I guess just visually to let you see like where is that 12 o'clock hour. And then at the end of your Undated, you have the same dot grid and the same blank pages. Once again, pocket and stickers, pocket and band, always matching the color of your planner. So Undated is a great way to try it out and to not have pages wasted because you can pull it on and off of the shelf as you need. And keeping a planner that you like, but you are not sure if it works for you is always a good idea because when those launches come up, you can pull it off the shelf and you can try it out again instead of being pulled in by the launch and rebuying it. Try it out and see if it really works for you and it's what you want. Last up here, before I share my planning, I just wanted to share this daily really quickly. I do have a full video that goes through the daily in more detail. We'll link that down in the description. So if you're interested in the daily, definitely check that out. I just loved this cover. Their dailies are all Undated. You only have one ribbon with your daily and they're all A5 size. This is your basic daily page layout. You have a 2-page spread per day and all your your undated months are up front. Your goal setting stuff is a little bit different. So like I said, if you want a full walkthrough on that, I'm going to link my daily video down below. But you have a today's focus, my game changer goal, personal, work, free space to grow, self-maintenance, best thing that happened, today I learned, today in one word, mood, 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. is your time blocking with half-hour time slots and a lot of room over here on the space of infinite possibility for journaling, drawing, brainstorming, taking notes, mind mapping, anything you need. And if you're taking meeting notes, every single one of these pages is numbered, which is so nice because then you can make an index at the back and you can be able to find those meeting notes that you need. This is all 80-pound paper in all their planners. It is actually amazing paper. I'll show you pen testing in the planner that I use. It is so thick and luxurious. It is smooth, so it's not a toothy paper at all, but it is not overly smooth. I really enjoy writing on it with every pen I've ever used, and it takes marker really well too. At the end of your daily, you have a few just dot grid notes pages, not as many as in your weekly. And then you do have a pocket, but you don't get the big sticker sheets with your daily. You just get the 2 round stickers. Isn't that a beautiful color? Like the ocean. Well, let's wrap this baby up with a little bit of my personal planning and passion planner. This was my very first passion planner, you guys. They only made them at the time in large and small, and their large size has been reduced by a tiny bit since then, if you can see it. There's a lip on the top and a lip on the side. This planner holds a special place in my heart because it was my very first passion planner, and there was no way I could plan in the tiny A5 small. The lines are just so tiny. I think I could have used an A5 planner, but the lines are so tiny for me and I preferred spreading out in here. I really loved this first passion planner. As you can see, some of the fonts have changed. The timelines look different, but it's the basic same layout, which is pretty amazing. This is from 2017, and this was an undated planner. I did the passion roadmap. I did some of the monthly reflections. So when you have an undated planner, it does allow you to be able to add in all your fun colors and put a little bit more color in there than that comes with Passion Planner because you're getting to number and date everything. So that is kind of fun about an undated planner. As you can tell, most of mine, I just put my big events up there, like any appointments up top and highlighted them. And then everything else was generally just my to-do list. But sometimes I put different appointment things at the time that they were throughout here, and I have to mark everything off in my planner. At this time, I was marking everything off with just a black map pencil. It was a phase I was going through. Now I usually use a colored marker, but this planner left me so much room. I don't even think I was using a daily planner at the time. Like this was all I was using because there is so much room in it, and I loved how big the lines were. They're not overly big. They're pretty much just like normal other planner lines, but for Passion Planner, they're big. These were their free habit trackers that I just taped in at the time. So you can get an idea of how that was a vacation week. So it was a lot more sparse on the to-dos, and I added in some quotes. And even someone who's not artistic can come in here and somehow make Passion Planner look pretty fun. And this paper, I can't remember if it started out 80 pound, but it's definitely not as luxurious as their paper now, but I didn't even have a problem with this paper back then. And then I started drawing a line straight across to be any of my big stuff and my appointment stuff, just to visually break it up from my to-do list when I wasn't using the timeline at all. That's how I would do it. And that line helped me. So you can see that throughout here. Okay, so that was my very first Passion Planner. I am sure glad I kept that one. And then this is the one I used just last year. I'll flip through just a little bit of it. But if you're interested in seeing my own personal planning and hearing how I plan between my weekly planner and just my daily list, which is usually in a notebook and not a daily planner. If you want to know my system, I give quarterly planning updates every quarter of the year. I give a planner stack update and how I'm planning, and we will link the 2025 playlist for that down here in the description. So you'll see sometimes I did put appointments at certain times and time block them out, and they're very easy to see there. And then at other times, I know I was just going straight down and just writing to-dos and putting appointments up top. So that is a little look at my planning and Passion Planner. I wanted to mention before we go, I actually really like the erasable pens from Passion Planner. I like them because they are electric blue. It's a very bright blue. I've been wanting to use blue ink in my planning, no matter if the planner had a lot of gray and black, but especially if it has a lot of gray and black, I tend to gravitate towards blue ink because it shows up better. But these friction pens are a 0.7 and they're very juicy. They have a lot of ink in them, which Friction is not as juicy as these, the Friction brand. And I really like the bright electric blue color. Also, I actually use their ink refills and I have taken the inks out of their pens. And I have put it in this, I think this is a friction ball. It's from Jet Pens. It was a gift from someone. And I love the way it feels in hand. I love that this clip does not jiggle while you write. The eraser actually somehow works even better than normal friction erasers or Passion Planner erasers. I'm not sure why, but it does. And it just feels amazing. So we will try to link this pen from Jet Pens for you guys if we can find it. But you can put any friction ink in here or the Passion Planner ink. Like I took the one out of this pen and stuck it in here. These pens are not bad to write with, but this is just much more luxurious. All right, guys, I think we've covered it all. If you're purchasing Passion Planner, don't forget to use my 10% off code down in the description. Let's take a deep breath together. You guys, you're doing a great job. Whatever you've done today is enough. Go outside, spend some time in the grass or taking a walk. It will always make you feel better to be outside in nature a little bit. It really grounds you. Take care of yourselves so you can take care of others. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.